Associate Professor, Dean, and a coordinator for this program, Physical Education and Community Coaching Program. And my dear participants, I welcome all of you for this beautiful session on behalf of Ministry Youth Affairs and Sports, Hello India, Sai LNCP, and on behalf of our respected principals, Dr. G. Kishore sir. Today we have a speaker and a guest speaker and a dignified speaker with us. About him, Dr. Ashutosh Acharya is an assistant professor Physical Education in Lakshmi Bai National College of Physical Education, a college run by Sports Authority of India, Government of India, Thiruvananthapuram. He has a master degree in physical education, specialized in sports psychology, besides a PhD degree in the area of sports psychology. He is an alumni of one of the eminent college in India in physical education and sports, Lakshmi Bai National College of Physical Education, Thiruvananthapuram. He has his doctorate from Lakshmi Bai National Institute of Physical Education, Gwalior. He has the distinction of holding the first rank in MPE as well as BPE from University of Kerala, Trivandrum. He is a recipient of the Junior Research Fellowship and a Senior Research Fellowship award from the UGC for higher studies. He has of national and international reputed one. He has confirmed with an Atsushi Fujita scholarship for his research contribution as a young researcher in the 6th ASP Sports Psychology Conference held at Taipei, Taiwan. As a life member of Sports Psychology Association of India, he has successfully published 11 research articles in the research journals and conference proceedings of national and international reputed one. He had various academic visits to Hong Kong, Macau, Taiwan. Today, he will be sharing his expert opinion on themes, continuity in sports ethics and decision making. Sir, on behalf of Ministry Youth Affairs and Sports, Hello India, Sai LNCP, and on behalf of our respected principal, Sir Dr. G. Kishore sir, I welcome you for this beautiful session. And I request all the participants to pay attention for Dr. Ashutosh Acharya sir. Sir is going to shower a knowledge of his experience on this topic. Sir, once again, I welcome you for this beautiful session, sir. Platform is yours.
Thank you so much, sir. Good morning to all the participants here. And today, and I'm really grateful to the Sports Authority of India, Lakshmi National College of Physical Education, for providing me a chance to be a part of this program. So today, sir, can I share my screen now?
Please, sir. Please, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So today we are going to basically discuss about two things, that is ensuring continuity in sports, and the second part of my presentation will be based on the ethical issues in sports and how to make decision or how to make right decision in physical education and sports. So all those dignified participants here will agree with me that this psychological training is that segment of sports which concentrates specifically on helping athletes to break their mental barriers and to give their best performance and in competitions at national and international level. So with keeping all these things in mind, basically today in the first part of our presentation, we are going to discuss about the basic important or various important psychological factors or psychological concepts that we need to understand the sports performance, or to understand the elite performance, or to understand physical education in a better way. So the first in the list is your motivational process. So when this comes to when this the moment I say about motivation, if I ask you like, do you know what is motivation, then many of you may be knowing that yes, this is motivation, or there is something which is called as motivation, that is very much essential for participating in games and sports and doing better in various games and sports. So to understand motivation, we need to understand the motivational process first, right? So just imagine, when an athlete, when a 100-meter athlete is running for the total duration within the 10 second, one individual can finish the 100-meter race. So just to run for 10 seconds, how much hardship or how tough training he is doing throughout the year. So what is that factor which is pushing an athlete, or which is pulling an athlete to work so hard day in and day out, just to run for 10 seconds. So that is the factor, when the moment you hear about motivation, the first thing that should be coming in your mind, that motivation is a force which directs an individual's effort towards a goal. इसका मतलब क्या है? मोटिवेशन का मतलब यह है कि जो कि एक फोर्स है, मोटिवेशन एक फोर्स है जो कि एक इंडिविजुअल का जितना भी एफर्ट होता है, जितना भी ट्राई करते हैं हम, जितना भी कोशिश होता है हमारे, उसको सारे कोशिशों को और सारे हमारे जो एफर्ट को जो है एक पर्टिकुलर गोल की तरफ डायरेक्ट करता है, उसको बोलते हैं मोटिवेशन. तो मोटिवेशन को समझने के लिए मोटिवेशनल प्रोसेस को समझना चाहिए, यानी कि मोटिवेशन कहाँ से जनरेट होता है, इसका रूट कॉज कहाँ होता है, और फिर ये कहाँ जाके खत्म होता है. तो दिस इज द कंप्लीट मोटिवेशन प्रोसेस, फ्रॉम वेयर इट राइजेस, how it rises, and how one motivation is accomplished. Okay, तो इसको समझने के लिए first let us focus on these 6 aspects of an individual's behavior. First one is unsatisfied need, second is tension, third one is drive, fourth one is search behaviors, fifth one is satisfied need, and the sixth one is reduction of the tension. तो अनसेटिस्फाइड नीड का मतलब क्या है? जब भी हमारे बॉडी में और जब भी हमें कोई फील होता है कि हमारे पास कुछ चीजें नहीं है जिसकी हमें जरूरत है. फॉर एन एग्जांपल, इफ सपोज आई वांट फूड, that means whenever I am hungry, I need food. The blood sugar level, when I remain hungry for a longer period of time, the blood sugar level in my body is disturbed. So that is why I feel hungry, and when I feel hungry, I need food. So unsatisfied need, what is unsatisfied need? Unsatisfied need is, in this case, it's food or anything that you don't have but you should have. तो जब भी हमारे बॉडी में कुछ चीजों का जरूरत पैदा होता है, that creates lot of tensions in our body. तो जिसके लिए जो क्या करता है कि that forces us to behave in a particular way. For an example, मैं अगर कहीं घूमने गया हूँ, अगर आप कहीं घूमने गए हैं, so after moving around for maybe 3-4 hours continuously, you start feeling hungry. अब तभी आपको भूख क्यों लगता है? Because your body needs food. तो अब तब जब आपको भूख लगता है, जब आपके बॉडी को खाने का जरूरत होता है, तो तभी आप क्या करेंगे? You will go for searching food from different sources. Maybe you will go to a restaurant, maybe you will go to a good hotel or something. By some means, by some means and methods, you will definitely try to search for the source of food. And once you get the food, जब आपको खाना मिल जाएगा, तभी क्या होगा कि आपका जो नीड था, what is the need? The need जो सबसे पहले था, जो लेफ्ट हैंड साइड ब्लू में लिखा है कि अनसेटिस्फाइड नीड, जो कि आपका खाना, आपको फूड चाहिए था. तो जब आप when you felt the need of the food, you start moving around, you searched for it, ultimately when you got it, your need is satisfied and your motivation is achieved. Okay, so this is what the motivational process is. Now we have understood what is motivation, we have understood what are the different motivational processes, and now we'll move on to different types of motivation. This is also very common. You must be knowing, I'm sure you must be knowing what is extrinsic motivation and what is intrinsic motivation. But one new thing, or one which is one uncommon thing that we are going to discuss today is which is amotivation. So first I will just explain these 3 things, one after other. First, let us move on to the intrinsic motivation. As the name suggests, so ये intrinsic motivation का मतलब क्या है? When the source of motivation is within you, right? Or it is very much within your, within your consciousness. That is called as your intrinsic motivation. When the source of motivation is within you. Suppose for an example, when I get up in the morning, तो हमारे यहाँ जो है, हमारे कॉलेज जो LNCP के सामने जो है, इवन हमारे LNCP के अंदर बहुत सारे लोग मॉर्निंग वॉक के लिए आते हैं. मतलब बहुत बुजुर्ग लोग हैं जो कि जैसे कि 80s में हैं, कुछ लोग 70s में हैं, वो लोग मॉर्निंग वॉक के लिए आते हैं. तो उनके लिए क्या है, ये रेगुलर और एंड विदाउट एनी फेल. तो इनके लिए क्या है, all these people who are coming regularly for workout or regularly for a walk, the only motivation is they are not coming regularly for achieving some medal or winning some championship or something like that. No, they are indulged in a kind of or in a particular activity, and the only reason being is they are enjoying or they are drawing pleasure out of it. So that means when you are doing or when you are involving yourself in some kind of sports or some kind of activity wherein the reason of motivation or the reason why you are doing is lying well within yourself, that kind of motivation is called as intrinsic motivation. And extrinsic motivation क्या है? Extrinsic motivation is just opposite to your intrinsic motivation. Extrinsic motivation में क्या होता है? When the source of motivation or that pulling force which is organizing your behavior towards a goal is lying outside you. That means when you are participating in a particular games and sports to gain some sports quota admission somewhere in good colleges, or maybe when you are participating in games and sports or a regular physical activity, so that you can get a good job in some government sector. So these are the kind, that means now you are participating in games and sports, but your main objective is not, your main objective is to win medals or to achieve something which is externally controlling your behavior. So in intrinsic motivation, the reason of motivation is within yourself, and extrinsic motivation is when your behavior is organized and controlled by some force which is externally which is external. Okay. And amotivation is the behavior will not be present because there is no point in trying or it's impossible to succeed. So the amotivation क्या होता है? When the actual reason behind the motivation is not known. That means there is not any kind of motivation when an individual is just doing some kind of activities for the sake of doing, he just indulging in something, but there is no particular or no such motivation for that will be categorized under the amotivation category. Now we have understood what is motivation, motivational process, what are the different types of motivation. Now we'll move on to the most important thing, for all the physical education teachers present here, that how to motivate the students. How can we motivate the students, right? So in this, what will happen? Today we are going to discuss, there are 10 different steps we are going to discuss. And the first one is child-centered approach. Although it is the first one, it is the most important one also, right? So whatever physical activity or physical training you are giving to your athletes, that should be it should be child focused. It should be focused. The main whatever you may be knowing so many activities, you may be knowing so many things, but when it comes teaching your athletes, you should understand few things. You should understand their age characteristics, you should understand their gender characteristics, you should understand their need. By understanding, by realizing all those things, you have to come out with you have to come up with a different training program which can be rewarding for the students. Second one is linking new learning with the past. That means whenever we are teaching some skills to our students, it should be linked with the past learning. That means experience is a very good teacher. What has been learned or experienced in the past, it always proves a good base for the learning. So that is why the assigned task which you are going to give to your student, it has to be interesting and easy in the initial phases. If it is properly related with the past experiences, then what will happen is your teaching learning process will be effective, and your student and your training will be learning in a much effective way, right? And the third thing is use of effective methods, aids, and devices in teaching or coaching. So whatever the subject matter may be that you are teaching, the art of teaching can stimulate the students for learning. The use of audiovisual aids, library, and maybe sometimes visit of different places of importance can always directly help the teacher in motivating the students. Now moving on to the fourth point, and the fourth point is definiteness of the purpose and the goal. Yes, this is very much important. इसमें क्या होता है कि कभी-कभी क्या होता है कि जो गोल्स होते हैं यानी कि जो ऑब्जेक्टिव, जो पर्पस होते हैं हमारे जो फिजिकल एजुकेशन में पार्टिसिपेट करने का, यानी कि हमारे जो स्पोर्ट्स में पार्टिसिपेट करने का, उसका जो ऑब्जेक्टिव और जो गोल है उसको हम क्लियर नहीं कर पाते हैं टू आवर स्टूडेंट्स. सो दैट इज व्हाई व्हाट हैपेंस कि दो इनिशियली बच्चा कोशिश करता है सीखने के लिए, उसका इंटरेस्ट रहता है सीखने के लिए, बट इन द लॉन्ग रन जब आप लंबे समय तक उसको वही चीजें सिखाते रहेंगे तो क्या होगा, आगे चल के ही गिव्स इट अप. तो इसीलिए आपको क्या करना चाहिए, यू हैव टू the students must be told the reason of acquiring a new skill or the reason of participating in physical activity and sports, so that a clear perception of the goal may be drawn, so that the students are motivated, and that again the required or the targeted result can be brought in. Next thing is knowledge of result and progress. So every learner, it is the right of every learner to know the result of his learning. So when we make ourselves engaged in doing some task, it is natural to have the curiosity about the progress. So immediate knowledge of the result provides sufficient feedback to the learner. आप जब लर्नर को इमीडिएट रिजल्ट देते हैं, यानी कि इमीडिएट रिजल्ट के बारे में इमीडिएट फीडबैक देते हैं, तो तभी क्या होता है कि जो बच्चा है यानी कि जो स्टूडेंट है, ही बिकम्स मच मोर इंटरेस्टेड in the kind of training, in the kind of physical education classes. तो इसीलिए आपको क्या करना पड़ेगा, आप जो बच्चे का ट्रेनिंग कराते हैं उस या जो भी उसका आप टेस्ट लेते हैं या भी जो भी उसका आप ट्रायल लेते हैं, तो उसका जो रिजल्ट है उसको इमीडिएटली उसको बताना चाहिए और उसको इन्फॉर्म करना चाहिए कि आपका प्रोग्रेस इतना है, आपको यहाँ तक पहुंचना है, यानी कि मतलब मे बी समटाइम्स आपका मतलब टारगेट इतना था और आप अचीव नहीं कर पाए. सो व्हाटएवर ऑल दोस पॉजिटिव थिंग्स एंड नेगेटिव साइड ऑफ योर परफॉर्मेंस, पॉजिटिव साइड ऑफ योर परफॉर्मेंस हैज टू बी इन्फॉर्म्ड इन अ वेरी सिस्टमैटिक मैनर टू योर स्टूडेंट. Now the sixth point is rewards and punishment. Yes, the ये जो दो चीज है reward and punishment, इसके बारे में बहुत सारे टीचर they may not agree with each other, but believe me, the rewards and punishment has equal role to play in physical education and sports. आप हर बार किसी को reward करके, आप हर बार किसी को punishment करके आप उसको नहीं सिखा सकते, या आप उसको physical education या sports skills नहीं सिखा सकते. तो आपको क्या करना पड़ेगा कि यहाँ पे आपने बहुत सारे टीचर्स ये ध्यान दिए होंगे कि आप में से आपके अंडर जितने भी स्टूडेंट हैं या जितने भी ट्रेनीज हैं, उनमें से कुछ स्टूडेंट ऐसे होंगे, देयर विल बी फ्यू स्टूडेंट्स लाइक दिस, कि आप अगर किसी का तारीफ करेंगे तो आगे चल के वो बहुत अच्छा परफॉर्मेंस देता है. एंड एट द सेम टाइम कुछ बच्चे ऐसे भी हैं जिनका अगर आप तारीफ करना शुरू कर देंगे तो आगे चल के क्या होता है, वो एकदम रिलैक्स हो जाते हैं और परफॉर्मेंस उनका नीचे आ जाता है, एंड दे आर नॉट एबल टू फोकस ऑन देयर स्पोर्ट्स परफॉर्मेंस एनीमोर. तो इसीलिए क्या होता है कि आप ये जो रिवॉर्ड्स एंड पनिशमेंट को इन ए पॉजिटिव वे आपको यूज करना पड़ेगा. आपको पहले ये समझना पड़ेगा कि आपका जो एथलीट है या आपका जो फिजिकल एजुकेशन का जो स्टूडेंट है, उसका जो साइकोलॉजिकल मेंटल सेटअप क्या है, वो रिवॉर्ड्स को कैसे लेता है इन ए पॉजिटिव, मतलब रिवॉर्ड्स उसको कैसे अफेक्ट कर रहा है, पॉजिटिवली अफेक्ट कर रहा है या नेगेटिवली अफेक्ट कर रहा है, एंड पनिशमेंट भी उसको कैसे अफेक्ट कर रहा है, नेगेटिवली अफेक्ट कर रहा है या पॉजिटिवली अफेक्ट कर रहा है. तो बाय अंडरस्टैंडिंग द इम्पैक्ट ऑफ रिवॉर्ड्स एंड पनिशमेंट ऑन योर स्टूडेंट, तो तभी आप ये दो चीज को यूज करके, यूटिलाइज करके, व्हाट यू कैन डू इज you can bring out better from your student, right? So now next thing what you can do is, what you should do to motivate your students, so that they can come out and participate in physical education and sports. So आपको क्या क्या करना पड़ेगा कि competition and cooperation, ये जो दो चीज हैं, ये these two things are like two sides of a coin. So wherever this competition is there will be a cooperation. That means suppose when you are playing a football match, you are competing with the opponent team, but at the same time you are cooperating with the same team, your team members. That is, without cooperation there won't be any competition, and wherever there is a competition, of course there will be cooperation. So this competition and cooperation has to be very nicely portrayed in front of your student. So this competition is always a source of motivation. In a simple way, it indicates desire to excel other. That means competition indicates the desire to excel other. And nowadays we find too much of competition in our work of life. So that is why I told you, so as a physical education teacher, you need to realize the role of competition and cooperation. Not only, it is not that you realize it, you have to make your student realize that the competition is not everything. Yes, of course, to excel in sports, if you are participating, if you are targeting to achieve some medal or something, you have to compete with the opponents. Yes, but at the same time you have to cooperate with the team members. Sometimes you have to compete with your own self also. Like for an example, I told you in the earlier slides we have studied about intrinsic motivation. So when you are intrinsically motivated, you have to compete with your own self. You have to compete with your own performance. So that is why the role of this competition and cooperation has to be very clearly understood by your student. Then only he will be motivated to come out and play. ego involvement. So the ego involvement, the ego consists of the attitude relating to the self, relating to oneself. Every one of us, everyone, like teachers, students, anyone, every one of us, we try to maintain status and self-respect. The teacher should, as a physical education teacher, we must motivate the students by by appealing to the ego to the maximum limit. The physical education teacher should engage the students in the activities which can appeal to their self-respect and raise their confidence. So this is the physical education teacher should engage the students in the activities which can appeal to their self-respect and raise their confidence.
Hello, sir, your voice is not audible.
Hello, can you hear me,
Hari?
sir?
Now it is audible. Yeah.
Okay, fine. So the ego, whenever the ego factor is involved, whenever the ego factor is involved, we should understand whether a student's behavior is being controlled by his ego, right? So when an ego factor is involved, so what we can do is, as a physical education teacher, we should we should motivate him. Or we should motivate him to participate in such kind of activity which can appeal to their self-respect and which will raise their status among his classmates. Like we can make him the leader, the leader of a house, or we can make him the captain of the school team or something like that. So by doing so, what will happen, the students will be much more interested to participate in sports. Development the proper attitude. Yes, this is also, by doing so also you can motivate your students. Appropriate learning situation and environment. So these last 2 points, it is easy to understand, but if there is something you want me to explain, you can put a question to me. I'll just explain it again. Now we have understood how to motivate a student. We understood what is motivation, then what is the motivational process. Then we have studied about what are the different ways and means to motivate your student so that he comes out and participate in games and sports. Now we'll move on to the next part of our of this presentation, which is goal setting. Okay, so this goal setting, it influences the performance by directing athletes' attention towards relevant tasks and increasing persistence in the face of obstacles. Okay, so in very simple words, बहुत ही simple word में ये जो goal setting का मतलब क्या है कि हम जब sports में कोई एक गोल यानी कि कोई एक टारगेट अचीव करना चाहते हैं, तो हमें उस टारगेट को कैसे बनाना चाहिए, हाउ टू फिक्स ए गोल, राइट, एंड हम उस टारगेट को फिर कैसे अचीव कर सकते हैं. सो बेसिकली ये जो दो चीज है, इसके बारे में हम लोग आज डिस्कशन करेंगे कि स्पोर्ट्स में, यानी कि जो फिजिकल एजुकेशन में या स्पोर्ट्स में हमें कैसे गोल सेट करना चाहिए, राइट, और उस गोल को धीरे धीरे हम कैसे अचीव कर सकते हैं. ठीक है, तो to understand that, first let us find out what are the 3 different types of goals. So first one is outcome goal, second one is performance goal, and third one is process goal. So basically there are 3 different types of goal. Okay, so first let us find out what is the process goal. All of you please shift your attention towards the right hand side, that point, process goal. So this process goal is, it mainly depends on, developing a particular technique, developing a small strategy, or completely, and these process goals are under the complete control of an individual. Like for an example, suppose I'm a discus thrower. I want to, I want to perfect my skill of rotation, or maybe I want to perfect my skill of release. Right, so these are the 2 techniques which I want to perfect by the end of by the end of this year. Okay, so now these are the 2 small things, like my rotation technique and my release technique. These are very 2 small things which I want to improve by the end of December. And so these are the small things or small goals which are called as process goals. Performance goals, whereas they are very particular, they are more specific, right? So here what we do is we always fix up a target for us which has to be achieved, and it is very much within the control of your athlete. And moving on to the third type of goal, that is outcome goal. Outcome goal is it is the end result, right? and which is largely under not control of the athlete. So there are three different type of goals: process goals, performance goals, and outcome goals. Process goals are the basic goals, or when we are trying to achieve the various smaller components of a whole technique or a whole skill, which will help us to perform better. And the performance goals means in terms of performance, in terms of my in terms of my small performance, which will be contributing towards the large performance. And the outcome goal is the ultimate goal जो मैं achieve करना चाहता हूँ. So now these are the various principles of goal setting. So these are the principles you have to remember if you want to help your athlete to set different types of goals. So the first principle of goal setting is set specific goals. आपको क्या करना पड़ेगा कि आपको specific goals maintain करना पड़ेगा. तो इसमें क्या है कि आप अगर अपने एथलीट को जाके बोलते हैं कि जैसे सपोज आई मीन फॉर एन एग्जांपल, इफ आई एम ए डिस्कस थ्रोअर, सपोज माय कोच सेज ओके by the end of this year or maybe in the next 6 months we have to achieve the gold medal at national level. Okay, so this goal is, I mean, the target is very much clean, but how we are going to do it? So if and what is my present level of performance? If my present level of performance is not, I have not even achieved a gold medal at district level, so in 6 months of time getting a gold medal at national level is going to be very, very, very tough, and which is not practically feasible. So in this case what happens, you have to set specific goals. Specific goals means एकदम clear pinpointed goals आपको रखना पड़ेगा आपके athletes के लिए, and that goal has to be very much clearly understood by your own self and your athlete as well. Second is set moderately difficult but realistic goals. Now for the same example, if at present I am a district level I'm struggling for a district level medal, so for me keeping a target of achieving a gold medal or achieving a bronze medal or coming in first 5 position at district level is going to be very easy, right? And at the same time, if you are keeping a goal for me that I have to achieve a gold medal at national level in 6 months to come, again that is going to be very difficult. So whenever you are setting a goal for your athlete, or whenever you are fixing a goal for your athlete, the goal should be moderately difficult. That means it should not be so easy that it is achieved very easily, and it should not be so difficult that your athlete cannot achieve it even after trying his level best. Right? So the whatever goal you are setting, it has to be moderately difficult, neither very easy nor very difficult. Next thing, set long and short term goals. See this, long term goal may be your ultimate goal. Short term goals are like the small component or the small targets which will ultimately help you out to achieve a long term goal, right? So whenever you are planning a goal for your athlete, you always keep these two things in mind. You include long-term goals as well as short-term goals. Next is set performance, process, and as well as outcome goals. Yes, all these aspects also you have to decide. You have to sit with your athlete, you have to talk to them, and you have to decide what are the performance goals standard that you are setting up, what is the process goal, and what is the outcome goal. Next is you have to set the practice and competition goals. Yes, the practice and competition goals are very different. Those of you all these participants here who have participated in competitive games and sports, you might have understood the performance that you give during the competition section, competition time, and the performance that you give during the practice time. There is a huge gap, or there is a huge difference between the practice performance and the competition performance. So that is why, by understanding or by realizing the nature of your athlete, you have to fix up a practice goal, and at the same time you have to fix up a performance goal. Like for my own example, I always have done better during the practice, but when I go to the competition, my performance in discus throw goes down. The reason is, there may be so many reasons, but one of the most common reason was my inability, or my my lack of mental toughness, my inability to handle the situation, my inability to handle the competition pressure. Right? So whatsoever the reason may be, so you have to fix up a target, or you have to fix up a goal for the practice sessions and for the competitions. And you have to record the goals. Not only fixing up the goal, trying for it and going for it doesn't solve the purpose. You have to set the goal, you have to record the goals, you have to record everything. You have to record the progress, you have to record the ultimate goal, you have to record the progress, you have to record the injury thing or whatever is happening, you have to record the number of training sessions, everything, all details, whatever is possible regarding your goals and your targets, you have to fix and you have to write, you have to record everything. Okay, so now डेवलप गोल अचीवमेंट स्ट्रैटेजीज। और खाली बस अब गोल डेवलप करके बच्चे को दे दिए और बच्चा को ट्रेनिंग कर रहा है, चल रहा है जैसे तैसे चल रहा है, फिर आप 4 महीने के बाद आके पूछते हैं कि क्या हो गया, 2 महीने के बाद आके पूछते हैं कि क्या हो गया, क्या ट्रेनिंग किया, कैसे चल रहा है, ऐसे नहीं होता है। आपको गोल अचीव करने के लिए आपको स्ट्रैटेजी बनाना पड़ेगा। जैसे हम कहीं बाहर अगर घूमने जाते हैं, जैसे कि हम छुट्टी बनाने जाते हैं, तो छुट्टी बनाने जाने से पहले हम क्या करते हैं कि होटल बुक कराते हैं, फ्लाइट टिकट बुक कराते हैं, कहाँ जाना है, पूरा एकदम डिटेल इटनरी बनाते हैं। सो सिमिलरली आप जब गोल सेटिंग कराते हैं, जिस बच्चे के लिए आप जब गोल सेट करते हैं, तो नॉट ओनली बाय जस्ट सेटिंग द गोल्स, आपको स्ट्रैटेजी भी डिसाइड करना पड़ेगा कि क्या स्ट्रैटेजी अप्लाई करके उस गोल तक आप पहुंच सकते हैं। So this is one point also you have to keep in mind. Consider the participants' personality and motivation. ये जो point है, this is a very important point. So all my friends need to understand this point. कि बहुत बार मैंने ऐसा देखा है कि जो फिजिकल एजुकेशन टीचर होते हैं या हमारे जो कोचेस होते हैं, जो गोल सेट करते हैं ना, वो उनका गोल नहीं होता, वो एथलीट का गोल नहीं होता है, वो उनका गोल होता है। इसका मतलब क्या है? I want to excel, I want to be known as a coach, I want to be known as a physical education teacher. So that is why what I do is I always force my students to the limit, and I force them, to participate or to achieve something, in national or international games and sports, without even considering what my student wants or what my trainee wants. So whenever you are, considering a goal or fixing up a goal for your student or for your athlete, you have to pay attention to the personality and motivation of your athlete. It should never be your goal. It should be rather the goal of your athlete guided by you. It should not be your goal followed by your athlete. It should be your athlete's goal guided by you. So foster an individual's goal commitment. Yes, you have to motivate your athlete. You have to keep an eye on your athlete or on your student, how committed he is towards achieving the goal. नहीं तो ऐसा नहीं होगा, if the students doesn't have a commitment towards the goal, तो आगे चल के क्या होगा, वो बच्चा 2-3 महीने के बाद, after 2-3 months of training, he will give up, he will not come. Okay, so provide goal support. Yes, this is very much important. Provide evaluation of and feedback about the goals. इसका मतलब यह है कि हमने जैसे कि मैंने अगर मेरे कोच ने अगर मुझे बोला कि within 1 year this is where we want to achieve, this is what we want to achieve, तो अभी क्या है, in every 3 months it is my coach's responsibility that he will give me training. I mean, he will give me different kind of test. He will give me competition like actual real competition like performance. So he will measure and access all these things. He will measure and access all these things, and on the basis of my performances, on the basis of my progress, he needs to give me evaluation and feedback about my goals, whether the goal which I have fixed is achievable, कि वहां तक पहुंचने के लिए मुझे जो करना चाहिए मैं वो सब कर रहा हूं कि नहीं कर रहा हूं. So all these things that has to be informed. Okay, so now the next thing that we are going to study is the attention and concentration. The attentional focus and concentration. So concentration is the, ये जो चीज है, जैसे कि मैंने बहुत बार देखा है कि मेरे जो फ्रेंड जो फिजिकल एजुकेशन एरिया से हैं या जो स्पोर्ट्स एरिया से हैं, वो मेरे पास आते हैं, बोलते हैं कि सर मेरा जो एथलीट है ना वो कंसंट्रेट नहीं कर पा रहा है. सो ये जो कंसंट्रेट कर पाने का मतलब क्या है, कि जैसे कि ये पहले हमें ये समझना चाहिए कि कंसंट्रेशन का जो कंसेप्ट है इसका मतलब क्या है. मतलब ये है कि जैसे कि नाउ देयर आर अराउंड मोर देन 500 पीपल लिसनिंग टू माय टॉक, listening to my lecture. Now what happens, when you are listening to my lecture, this is not the only thing happening around you. There may be fan moving, there may be somebody shouting, there may be TV, the sound coming from TV, there may be so many things happening around you. But what you are doing right now, by blocking all those things, you are attending or you are listening to what I'm saying. So basically what you are doing is you are shifting your attention to my talk by avoiding disturbances caused by your surroundings. So this is the thing, which is called as concentration, wherein it is the ability to maintain focus on relevant environmental cues. When the environment changes rapidly, attentional focus must also change rapidly. Thinking of the past or the future raises irrelevant cues that often lead to performance errors. तो आपको क्या करना पड़ेगा कि कंसंट्रेशन के मतलब, कंसंट्रेट करने का मतलब यह है, जैसे कि अगर आप गेम में जब खेलने के लिए जाते हैं तो उस टाइम पे आपको खुद के परफॉर्मेंस के ऊपर आपको फोकस करना चाहिए. तो ये जो चीज है आपके एथलीट को बहुत अच्छे तरह से आप उसको समझाना चाहिए, उसके लिए कुछ साइकोलॉजिकल ट्रेनिंग है उसको कराना चाहिए. तो क्या होगा ना, जो बंदा सबसे ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम होता है, जैसे कि मैं भी एक एथलीट रहा हूँ, सो आई नो व्हेन एन एथलीट गोज टू द कंपटीशन एरेना or for the actual competition, every changes, all the psychological changes, many psychological changes occur during that time. So during that time, as a physical education teacher or as a coach or even as a sports psychologist, we must promote or we must teach our athlete or we must teach our student, how to focus or how to concentrate on his or her performance by blocking all those disturbances. Now attentional problems kya hai ki, first of all, there are different types of attentional problems. There may be many factors which may cause disturbances, and thereby you are not able to give your best performance. So all those disturbances are classified into two categories. One is internal distractor, second one is external distractor. So in internal distractor, what happens? These are the factors which we can control. See, the external distractor, if you see on the right hand side of your screen, I have put it in red ink. Why? Because the external distractor cannot be controlled much by you, because these are the external distractors. Like for an example, spectators. Can we have a control on spectators? No. We, like for an example, the noise coming from the surrounding or the mic system, I mean the music coming from the surrounding, we cannot have a control on that. Maybe the temperature, maybe the surrounding the cheer of our spectators. So on all those things we do not have a control. So that is why we are not going to discuss those external distractors here. Rather, we will focus our discussion on internal distractors. That means these are the distractions which is caused inside the athlete and affecting the sports performance. The first one is attending to the past events. तो इसमें क्या होता है कि एथलीट जो है, जैसे कि ये बहुत बार ऐसा देखा गया है कि इफ एन एथलीट वाज इंज्यूर्ड इन पास्ट, तो क्या होता है कि whenever, like for an example, if when one all India inter university championship was going on, one athlete from Mangalore University, he was going for a triple jump. So suddenly what happens, he got a very bad ankle twist, and after that he was not even able to walk. Then when I saw the same athlete, after 2 years, I mean for 2 years he was absent. Maybe he was advised to remain absent from the arena. So after 2 years when he came back, so every time he goes for a jump, he was so concerned, and he jumped and he was not the same again. His skill was not so smooth again. So when after the his event was over, when I spoke to him, he said that the moment when he is going for a takeoff, the moment he sees the takeoff board, he the past experience which has caused injury to him becomes fresh in his mind. So when you are attending to the past events, that means you go on thinking about the past events. This is the kind of thing happens. So you should teach your athlete or your student to to avoid attending to the past events. Attending to future events means, like suppose when I'm going for a discus throw, I have thought about, okay, now so the event is not yet over, बट मैंने क्या किया, मैं ये सोचने लग गया कि इवेंट खत्म हो जाएगा, अभी आगे चल के मेरा इतना परफॉर्मेंस है, मुझे गोल्ड मेडल भी मिल जाएगा, मुझे गोल्ड मेडल लेके जब मैं कॉलेज में वापस जाऊंगा, then college people also will arrange a huge welcome for me. So these are the things which has not yet happened. The event is not over yet, but what you are doing is you are thinking about something, thinking about something which has not happened yet. So all these things, attending to the past event and attending to the future events, these both things will cause distraction in your performance, and that is why you should always prevent these two things by any means. Third one is choking under pressure. Yes, choking under pressure means when you are not able to deal with the pressure. That means when there is a suppose like you are playing a cricket match and your team is down by 8 wickets, and there are 60 more runs to win, and you are on the crease. So the kind of pressure that time you feel is, if you are really having an ability to deal with the pressure, or you are mentally tough, then from that situation you can take your team to win the match, And if you do not have that much of mental toughness, or you do not have the ability to deal with the pressure, then definitely you will collapse and your team will lose. So overanalyzing body mechanics, fatigue, inadequate motivation. So all these factors, all these are, different internal distractors which may cause problem in their sports performance. Okay, now coming down to the ways and means, to enhance concentration. How can we enhance concentration? Okay, so one of the means of enhancing concentration is like self-talk. There are many other ways. There are many other ways and means of enhancing concentration. But why I have chosen to discuss about self-talk, because this requires no equipment, absolutely no cost. This requires mastery of physical education teachers or the trainers or the coaches to deal with the athlete, right? So there are there are again two different kinds of self-talk: positive self-talk and negative self-talk. For the same situation, like what happens if you see the left hand side top corner, one girl is taking a shot in tennis. So whenever you miss a shot in tennis, or whenever you perform badly in a tennis match or in any other match, there are two ways of reacting to it, right? First one is in a negative way. You say that what an idiot I am, I will never win now. That means ये इतना बड़ा गलती मैंने कैसे कर दिया, मेरे से ऐसा नहीं, मेरे से कुछ हो ही नहीं सकता, मैं ये मैच अभी जीत नहीं सकता, मुझे तो हारना ही हारना है. So this is the kind of sentence, when you say these kind of sentences to yourself, you are causing within yourself anger, hopelessness, increased muscle tension inside you. तो ये आगे चल के क्या होगा कि this will not help you to come back and perform better, rather it will push you further down and you will lose the match. Rather at the same time, for the same mistake, if you are saying yourself, okay, it's fine, गलती हो जाता है, this time मेरे से ये गलती हुआ, चलो आगे ऐसे मेरे से नहीं होगा, I'll be more focused. तो इसमें क्या होता है कि you are promoting yourself, you are motivating yourself for a better concentration, and which will result in better concentration, optimism and calmness. Okay, तो ये चीज आपको ध्यान रखना है, to have better concentration or to have a better focus in your games and sports. You should promote, as a coach or as a trainer, as a physical education teacher, you must promote the positive self-talk and remove the negative self-talks. And there are many ways and means, like use of simulation practice, use of keywords, use of non-judgmental thinking, then establish daily routines, develop competition plan, develop eye control, monitor yourself, overlearn skills. See, these are different means and methods of concentration, means and methods of enhancing concentration, which I have mentioned here. Okay, and these eight techniques can be conducted on field, and it doesn't require any kind of your scientific equipments, or it doesn't require any kind of huge investment so far as your money or financial aspect is concerned. Okay, now we'll move on to the next part of my presentation, which is aggression in sports. So aggression in sports, बहुत सारे बार मैंने देखा है, मेरे जो फ्रेंड्स हैं in the field of physical education, वो क्या करते हैं, बच्चे को, जैसे अगर एक बच्चा रेसलर है, अगर एक बच्चा थ्रोअर है, अगर एक बच्चा बॉक्सर है, उसको बोलते हैं जो आपको, अरे भाई तुम्हें तो थोड़ा गुस्सा होना चाहिए, थोड़ा मतलब एग्रेसिव होना चाहिए. तो ये गलत बात है. एग्रेसिव, स्पोर्ट्स में एग्रेशन का कोई स्पेस नहीं है, राइट? सो एग्रेशन बाय एनी मीन शुड बी अवॉइडेड. ये सेंटेंस में जो बोलता हूं ना, आप मेरे से सेम, बहुत सारे होंगे जैसे जो कि मेरे से सहमत नहीं होंगे, बट आफ्टर आई एक्सप्लेन व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ एग्रेशन, जब मैं आप एग्रेशन का मतलब क्या है आपको समझाऊंगा, आफ्टर दैट अगेन you will come back to my side, you will start supporting me. So let us first understand what aggression. Aggression का मतलब क्या है कि any kind of behavior which is directed towards harming or injuring another living being. इसका मतलब क्या है? इसका मतलब यह है कि aggression का मतलब है दूसरे बंदे को या दूसरे टीम में मतलब ओपोनेंट को किसी भी तरीके से उसको हानि पहुंचाना या नुकसान पहुंचाना. जो बिहेवियर होता है उसको हम एग्रेशन बोलते हैं, राइट? तो एग्रेशन जो है वो दैट इज अगेन डिवाइडेड इनटू टू डिफरेंट टाइप्स. एग्रेशन एक होता है होस्टाइल एग्रेशन, दूसरा होता है इंस्ट्रूमेंटल एग्रेशन. होस्टाइल एग्रेशन में क्या होता है, जैसे कि फॉर एन एग्जांपल, सपोज आई एम प्लेइंग ए फुटबॉल मैच एंड यू आर माय ओपोनेंट. तो मैंने क्या हुआ, मैंने ड्यूरिंग द टैकल, जब मैं बॉल को टैकल कर रहा था, ड्यूरिंग द प्रोसेस ऑफ टैकलिंग द बॉल, आई अननोइंगली एंड अनइंटेंशनली आई किक्ड ऑन योर लेग. But that kick of mine, has had injured you, that hurt you badly. So for which I went to you and say sorry, It was not intentional. But what you did is, as you were hurt by me, you were injured by me. Of course it was not intentional. So what you did is, now you got up, you forgot everything. आप सब भूल गए, आप सीधा उठ के खड़े हो गए, सब भूल गए कि मैच जीतना है, मुझे इतना स्कोर करना है, मुझे ये पोजीशन में खेलना है, ये कुछ नहीं। अभी आपके दिमाग में ये आ गया कि इसने मेरे पैर पे लात मारा है, मैं भी उसका एक पैर तोड़ूंगा। दैट इज, ये पूरा आपके दिमाग में आ गया कि आई हैव टू कॉज हार्म, आई हैव टू कॉज इंजरी टू द पर्सन हु हैज हिट मी। तो अभी आपके दिमाग में क्या आ गया? इंटेंट क्या है, आपका उद्देश्य क्या है? किसी को हानि पहुंचाना। गोल क्या है? किसी को हानि पहुंचाना। और यहाँ पे गुस्सा है आप, राइट? सो द एंगर, गोल टू हार्म, इंटेंट टू हार्म, सो ऑल दीज थिंग्स आर प्रेजेंट इन हॉस्टाइल एग्रेशन। तो एट द सेम टाइम ये इंस्ट्रूमेंटल एग्रेशन क्या है? इंस्ट्रूमेंटल एग्रेशन का मतलब है कि जैसे मान लीजिए कि एक क्रिकेट मैच चल रहा है, मैं एक बैट्समैन हूं और आप एक बॉलर हैं, और मैं अगर अच्छा खेल गया तो मेरा टीम जीत जाएगा। तो तभी क्या होता है, जब मैं बैटिंग कर रहा हूं, आपका जो एक प्लेयर, आपका जो टीम का जो कैप्टन है, वो आपके पास आते हैं और आपको बोलते हैं कि इसको एक ऐसा बाउंसर डाल इसको जैसे कि इसके सर पे लगे या उसके रिब केज पे लगे, सो दैट ये रिटायर्ड हर्ट होके वापस चला जाए। तो आपने क्या किया? आपने दूसरी एंड से भाग के आए, आपने एक बाउंसर मारा, बाउंसर आके मेरे रिब केज पे लगा और मैं रिटायर्ड हर्ट होके चला गया। तो इसमें देखिए, इसमें डिफरेंस ये है कि आपने मुझे हानि पहुंचाया, राइट? बट आपने मुझे हानि पहुंचाया, किस लिए पहुंचाया? द रीजन वाज, द इंटेंशन वाज समथिंग डिफरेंट। आपने मैच जीतने के लिए मुझे हानि पहुंचाया, राइट? तो इसको, इस तरह जो एग्रेशन होता है, हम उसको बोलते हैं इंस्ट्रूमेंटल एग्रेशन। यहाँ पे इंटेंट किसी को हानि पहुंचाना, जैसे कि मुझे बाउंसर डाल के हानि पहुंचाना, आपको तो एम था ही, बट यहाँ पे गोल क्या था? अल्टीमेट गोल, क्यों हानि पहुंचाना था मुझे इसीलिए हानि पहुंचाना था कि क्यों आपको मैच जीतना था। और यहाँ पे ये जरूरी नहीं है कि आप गुस्से में आके मुझे बॉल मेरे सर पे मार रहे हैं, या आप गुस्से में आके मेरे बॉल मेरे रिब केज पे मार रहे हैं। नहीं, यहाँ पे आपको गुस्सा नहीं है, यहाँ पे आपका फोकस है टू विन द मैच बाय कॉजिंग हार्म टू माय ओन सेल्फ और टू द अपोनेंट। तो ये होते हैं डिफरेंस बिटवीन योर हॉस्टाइल एग्रेशन एंड इंस्ट्रूमेंटल एग्रेशन। नाउ एक चीज वहां पे लिखा है जो कि होता है एजर्टिव बिहेवियर। यस, ये जो एजर्टिव बिहेवियर है, जितने भी फिजिकल एजुकेशन टीचर हैं, कोचेस हैं, ट्रेनर्स हैं, सबको ये चीज ध्यान में रखना चाहिए कि वी हैव टू प्रमोट दिस एजर्टिव बिहेवियर अमंग्स आवर एथलीट्स। इसका मतलब क्या है कि हम किसी को हानि नहीं पहुंचाएंगे, हम जो हमारा जो है स्किल्स को बेहतर करेंगे, हमारा जो मास्टरी ओवर द स्किल्स है उसको बेहतर करेंगे, गेम का जो रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस है उसके बारे में बहुत अच्छा नॉलेज रखेंगे। सो एंड ये सारे चीज करते जब आप करेंगे तो डेफिनेटली आपके बीच में एक चेंज आएगा और आपका जो बिहेवियर में चेंज आएगा, और दैट काइंड ऑफ बिहेवियर को हम बोलते हैं एजर्टिव बिहेवियर। ओके, so there are different types. As I have told you, aggression is very bad and it should not have any place in games and sports. So how to control aggression? There are different means and methods by using which we can have control over the aggression. And the first one is promote assertiveness, not aggressiveness among your athlete. I told you this is the first and most important point of controlling aggression amongst your athlete. As a coach or trainer, you should promote assertiveness, not aggressiveness amongst your athlete. Second point is athletes involved in aggressive act should be severely punished. Okay. Then third point is coaches promoting the aggressive act should not be spared either. बहुत बार ऐसा देखा गया है कि the coaches also indulge in games and sports in different kinds of aggressive act. So all those coaches and trainers who are involved in different kinds of aggressive act should also not be spared. They should be suspended for a few matches. They may be suspended for the whole session. There has to be some rules and regulations for tackling the promotion of aggression by the coaches also. So official aggression should also be prevented, and coping skills to deal with the aggression should be practiced. There are various coping skills. There are various means and methods of dealing with different aggressive athletes. So if anyone is interested, or if you have any athlete who is suffering, if you feel that he is genuinely having who is genuinely very aggressive, and if that aggression aspect can be controlled, he can be a better athlete, then we can have a session with him, and I can suggest few exercises for controlling aggression also. Now we'll move on to the next thing. We are going to study about anxiety. So anxiety, as you know, it is a negative emotional state which is characterized by nervousness, worry, tension, and which is always associated with activation and arousal of the body. So basically there are two different types of anxiety. There is cognitive anxiety, there is somatic anxiety. There are two different types of anxiety, and also as well as there are two different another category of anxieties, which one called as state anxiety, and the second one is trait anxiety. The difference between state and trait anxiety is when by born, or I mean being anxious is one of your characteristics, uh, one of the characteristics of your personality, then that is called as trait anxiety. यानी कि कुछ लोग आप ऐसे देखे होंगे जो कि छोटे से छोटे चीज में भी anxious हो जाते हैं, मतलब घबरा जाते हैं, तो उनको बोलते हैं कि मतलब that kind of anxiousness, that kind of being anxious is there in their personality. तो जिंदगी में कोई भी छोटे से छोटे सिचुएशन आता है, थोड़ा अगर चैलेंजिंग सिचुएशन आता है तो वो वरीड हो जाते हैं, आई मीन दे बिकम मोर एंग्जियस. तो उस टाइप का जो एंग्जाइटी है उसको बोलते हैं हम लोग ट्रेट एंग्जाइटी. एंड स्टेट एंग्जाइटीज आर सिचुएशन स्पेसिफिक, right? And those are ever changing emotional state of subjective consciously perceived feeling of apprehension and tension associated with activation of the autonomic nervous system. Now I'll ask you one thing, like whether the arousal and performance has to be in which way the arousal and performance are related. अगर एक एथलीट का जो जब अरोजल लेवल लो है तभी वो अच्छा परफॉर्मेंस दे पाएगा, या अरोजल लेवल जब ऑप्टिमम है तभी आप अच्छा परफॉर्मेंस देता है, या अरोजल लेवल जब ज्यादा है तभी अच्छा परफॉर्मेंस देता है. See, if you see this diagram, so from this diagram it is very clear that there are three different athletes: athlete A, athlete B, athlete C. So there are three different athletes. So on the basis of these three different athletes, on the basis of these three athletes level of arousal and their performance, we can draw a conclusion that the relationship between the base performance and the level of arousal varies from individual to individual. आपके पास ऐसे भी एथलीट होंगे when they are calm and composed they give their best performance. आपके अंदर ऐसे भी एथलीट हो सकते हैं जो कि who give their best performance when their level of arousal is optimum. And you also will have some athletes, you also will have some kind of players who will give their best performance only when their level of arousal is very high. And one of the example is Virat Kohli in cricket. He is always, if you see him, he is always charged up, very active. So when the level of arousal in an individual, and at the same time you see Rohit Sharma, the level of arousal, he gives his best performance when the level of arousal is optimum. So this concept you should keep in mind, you should consider, and you should try to understand the nature of sports performance of your athlete, whether he is able to give his best performance when his level of arousal is low, optimum or high, and accordingly you should act. There are again various anxiety reduction techniques: progressive muscle relaxation, breath control, biofeedback, autogenic training, stress management training, hypnosis. Okay, so all these things, it requires different kind of instruments, different kind of equipments, except breath control. Breath control is a thing, like there are two different kinds of breathing. One is chest breathing, second one is abdomen breathing. So when an athlete is breathing from the abdomen, you should understand, you should realize that yes, he is calm and composed and he is relaxed, he is feeling relaxed. And if your athlete is feeling shortness of breath, or if you see your athlete just prior to the event, he is not taking deep breath and he is breathing from the chest, then you should be sure, and that is a sure indication that your athlete is going through a lot of stress, and you should immediately guide him, or you should immediately tell him to go or to implement certain kind of anxiety reduction techniques. Now we'll move on to the second part of my presentation. So in the first part of my presentation, we discussed about motivation, we discussed about concentration, we discussed about goal setting, we discussed about arousal, anxiety, we discussed about attention, concentration. So all these things we covered in the first part of my presentation. Now we are moving on to the second part of my presentation, which is ethics and decision making in sports. So teachers in general and physical education teachers in particular are central figures in the educational process, that you all will agree with me. So it is the responsibility of teachers to guide and transmit ethical values, whether in the specific context of physical education classes or in school, or in sports activities, or in a larger context such as education and general education and all. This responsibility is also shared by the schools to which which a physical education teacher is attached. So in this sense, the guidelines, this ethics and decision making in sports, which we are going to discuss in the further slides, will definitely come out. We'll try to understand different ethical issues, and we'll try to understand how to make decision in physical education and sports. See, these slides, just so that these slides have taken from a research study which was conducted by a scholar from Australia. And if on the left top corner, if you see that the less than 3%, corruptions in the international sport was in match fixing, and 95.6% of corruption was doping, and 2% was use of insider information. See, now what is happening, why I have showed you all these diagrams here, I just wanted to inform you, I just wanted to bring it to your knowledge that how prevalent the corruption in international sports has become, right? And one research has reported that match fixing cases by continent wise, 5 in America, 4 in Africa, 17 in Asia, 37 cases in Europe, and 4 in Australia in last 3 years. So if you see in the list, Europe is first and second is Asia. So we have 17 match fixing cases in last 3 years. Okay, so this slide gives you a general idea how these ethical issues in sports and in physical education is slowly dying. How these unethical practices like doping, match fixing, bribing, betting, all those things are slowly taking over. Now, the same person who has conducted this research, he also, that the outcome of that research also showed 6 in 10 adults feel the use of performance enhancing drugs is the most serious problem facing sports. That's true. And in the same study says 37% of adults believe incentive for athletes to earn more money is the main reason why there is use of performance enhancing drugs in professional sports. And the same study also says 52% of adults believe taking performance enhancing drugs is the greatest offense in trying to gain an unfair advantage by an Olympic athlete or team. This is a very common example which all of you must be knowing. There was a spot fixing case wherein three of our cricketers were suspended, was Srishant, Chandela, and Ankit Chavan. Though Srishant has been given clean chit by the courts, but this is what has happened in the past. Corruption of sports is one of the fastest growing global types of crime, and match fixing and sports betting is a convenient means of money laundering and an attractive haven for crime money. So by keeping all those slides, what I have just shown, we have to understand, like whenever you go to a doctor, doctor will first try to, first will advise you to go for some test. Then when the test result comes, he will diagnose the disease. And on the basis of that, he will give you the medicine. So similarly, what we'll do is, we will try to understand what ethics is and what is its purpose first. So ethics, refers to ethos. Ethos is a foreign word which means the principle, basis, and foundation, a set of models and values that form the character of each person, and they translate through actions into their way of being. इसका मतलब ये है, ethics का मतलब क्या है कि the guiding principles in life, or like they can be foundations or even a set of models, values which enables an individual to decide and or to differentiate between the right and wrong, or good or bad. Ethics is thus the set of norms of behavior and ways of life through which human beings tend to realize the value of good. So now we'll discuss various ethical issues in teaching physical education and sports. So in teaching physical education and sports, equipment becomes, now our physical education teacher are stuck in a situation where they have to take a decision, whether they have to, they have to ask themselves whether that practice is right and wrong. And if it is right, it's okay. If it is wrong, what alternative has to be done. Like for an example, the first example I have cited here is your equipment. So equipment, when when you all are working in a physical education in a school as a physical education teacher, so whatever the equipment has been purchased, those equipment should be equally available to all the students of the athlete, right? But what we basically do in the schools, we pick and choose few athletes who are seriously interested in physical education or who wants to excel in sports. We make those equipments available to those athletes only. In many cases, I don't say that all the cases always it happens like this, but in many cases what happens, though we are running scarcity, though we are running shortage of equipments and supplies, so what we do is whatever equipment is available in our hand at school, we make those equipments available only to the people who are interested in games and sports and who want to achieve or who want to excel in games and sports. But however, the ethical issue is, though these are the equipments of the school, it should be equally available for the whole students. Now, when you are making it available for few athletes, and when you cannot make it available for whole students of the school, so is it right or is it wrong? This is what you have to think, you have to decide, and you have to act accordingly. Then preparatory periods for coaching versus for all students. Then grading and its implications. Can teachers only teach the activities they enjoy and are already capable of teaching and ignore the needs of the students, the curriculum, and state or national standards? This has happened in many cases. I have seen there are few people, there are few physical education teachers who say that, okay, I'm specialized in this game or I'm specialized in that game, so I can teach only this or that game, and beyond that. So what happens, they may be very good basketball players, there may be the international volleyball players, but as a physical education teacher, we should all, okay, there is no harm in promoting one or two sports in your school, but you should be able to teach, or we should be able to teach our athletes various other games too, on the basis of their need, their demand, and on the basis of the need and demands of the curriculum prepared by the state government or by the national standards. Do I continue to grow and improve as a teacher, or stick with what I know because that is easier? So access to confidential records, failing to perform duties, yes, this is also another ethical issue. So imposing on students personal views unrelated to the subject of a lesson or promoting such. See, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. मैं अगर गलत बोल रहा हूँ तो आप लोग मुझे सही means just correct me if I'm wrong. बहुत सारे टाइम पे ऐसा देखा जाता है कि जो फिजिकल एजुकेशन टीचर होते हैं, they of course it is not only with physical education teacher, but I am talking in context of physical education teacher only. So physical education teacher जो होता है, they go beyond their limits, they go beyond their jurisdiction, they try to give their personal views in the matter unrelated to the subject, unrelated to physical education. They try to interfere in the personal matter of few students. So that is why these kind of imposing on students the personal views should be avoided by the physical education teachers. So these are various ethical issues in teaching physical education. So these are the things, these are the points I have explained. So just see if there is any point or anywhere where you need further explanation, just put a question, I will definitely get back. So what physical education teacher teaches to the students and players? I mean physical education teachers cannot be always the the bad people. They also do a lot of they also teach many things to the students, which in future help them to become a good individual. The first thing they teach is performance and achievement. Performance should always be linked to the effort used to achieve objectives. Okay, so it's rules and regulations. The physical education teacher also teaches the rules and regulations. Then he gives, being a physical education teacher, without exception, everyone should have an access to sports, and thereby a physical education teacher can promote the equal opportunity among the students. If you see the national education policy, the 2020, in the national education policy 2020, this equity or the equal opportunity, equal opportunities to all the students, irrespective of their caste, creed, and gender, has been given topmost priority. So by promoting this equal opportunity among your students without any biasness, without any special consideration, if you are promoting, if you are giving equal opportunities to your students, then it will also promote the ultimate objective of our national education policy. Respect, yes. The physical education teacher also teaches the students how to respect the opponent, how to respect the teammates, how to respect the officials. So this respect aspect also can be taught or is being taught by our physical education teacher to the students. Then joy of effort, fair play, respect for others, pursuit of excellence, balance between body and mind. That means a healthy mind and healthy body. So all these things are being taught regularly in a day-to-day basis by the physical education teachers in the school. So what are the responsibility of the teacher? How to educate for ethical values in and through sport? So being a teacher, you always remember. So many times what happens, we go on always complaining about our student, that my student is not listening. He is the most notorious child in the class. He is this, he is that, he is bad, he is this. So we go on complaining about a student. But one thing we don't realize, our student is the mirror image of our own self, right? So for an example, if I tell you, like during now I am a teacher, 10 years back I was a student in the same college where I am working. So that time I had a coach. So that coach, has a lot of impact on me. So when now, even after 10 years, I always compare myself to my teacher. I always try to fit into my teacher's image. That means, just from this you can just imagine what a huge impact that teacher had, that teacher had on me. So similarly, whenever you see some unruly student or notorious student, you ask yourself first, what is wrong with you? Why that student is behaving that way with you? So try to correct yourself, try to understand, try to see yourself, because your student is always an mirror image of your own self. So whenever there is something, so to educate for ethical values in and through the sports, as it being a teacher, what you should do is you should introspect, find out the fault in yourself, then automatically your student's behavior will change. These are few characteristics that we need to represent and express certain values to your students. These are certain positive characteristics. And being a teacher, you need to understand the school sports competition as a sporting event that is part of the educational process and not its end product. Competition should be understood. Mainly here, what I want to say is competition should be understood that, for it should teach leadership. It should teach, the respect for the opponent. So it should teach you, the competition should teach good things to you and to your, to your athletes. So the objective associated with competition should be to create favorable and positive habits and attitudes regarding the practice of sport and the actual act of competing among your students. So this is the framework for ethical decision making. Like as I told you, how to, like when you are stuck, when you are not able to decide between the right and wrong. So that time what you should do and how to take a decision which is ethically correct. So first thing is, in the process, you have to find out the problem, define the problem to be solved. So finding out the problem, or the finding out the exactly knowing what the problem is itself a problem. So that means once you have understood or realized what is a problem, the 50% or half of the problem is solved. Next thing is find out the evidence, identify the relevant facts and data. So sometimes what happens, I may feel that this is a problem to me, but it may not be actually correct. Maybe I have perceived a situation in a wrong way. That's why I feel that this is a problem, but actually there is nothing like that. So what I have to do is not only find out what is the problem, but in addition to it, I have to find out different evidences, or different relevant facts and data, which which ensures that okay, this thing has happened. Now what you have to do is you have to generate and evaluate alternative solutions in light of the evidence. You have to analyze. Suppose I want my team to go outside, or my team to go outside and participate. So now the problem, suppose for an example, the problem is the institute doesn't have any fund. So when the institute doesn't have any fund, there are many other options. So what are the options? Whether you have to generate fund, or you have to write a requisition letter to the institute, or you have to collect it from the students. So whatever, there may be many options which is wrong, there may be many options which is right. So what you have to do is you have to compare between right and wrong options, and thereby you have to analyze and generate and evaluate alternative solutions in light of the evidence. And the ultimate thing is solution. Solution is, out of all these options, ethical, you select one option which is ethically correct and which is which will be solving your problem. So the framework for this ethical decision making is like this: first is problem, then evidence, then analysis, and then followed by solution. So these are the habits and behaviors which are these are ethical values and ethical virtues, which creates or has a huge impact on the personality of an individual. See, by having a stronger value, by following the ethical practices or ethical virtues, we can bring out commitment, fair play, excellence, tolerance, respect, rigor, friendship, effort, cooperation, discipline. By like all these good characteristics can be inculcated amongst our students. So to summarize, for continuity in sports for an athlete, the coach must, or the physical education teacher must do the following. You have to motivate your athlete, you have to guide your athlete, or you have to guide your student with a proper goal. You have to help your athletes to concentrate in a better manner. Or if there is any issue owing to which your athlete is not able to concentrate or focus, you can always get back to a sports psychologist, or you can always get back to us. We'll definitely help you. You have to control aggression. You have to understand the difference between aggression and assertiveness. So you control aggression, promote assertive behavior, and by doing so, you can bring out a better performance from your athlete. Then make him or her feel comfortable and enjoy the game. Ethics is an important aspect of an athlete. Yes, you have to promote the ethical behavioral practices, or ethical. You have to make your athlete understand the difference between ethical and unethical practices. And right decision making is the key, as I told you, though I have mentioned it last, but it is not the least. It is very important. You have to learn how to take right decision, how to take ethical decision in a difficult situation. When in an easy situation, all of us can take a decision. But when the situation is unfavorable, when the situation is challenging, demanding, at that time, how to take a right decision will decide, or will is the key. So that's all today for today. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Presentation was really a wonderful one and an informative one. Few questions are there from participant side. So I feel you are free to answer this one.
Yeah, yes, sir, please.
From Prasad, sir, the Harvekar.
Okay.
He says that ethics are followed at a grassroots level, but when players reaches at this national levels, they will not follow this one. He's asking why this is, when they are able to follow at a grassroots level, and why they are not following at the national levels.
Oh, okay. I got this. Ethics are followed only at grassroots level. The athletes and players we send for state and national level list their ethics. Why? Sir, what happens? When an athlete is at grassroots level, so that time what happens? His decision making ability is not completely independent. So for during that time, the coach or the trainer or the physical education teacher is having a huge impact on the decision making ability of a player at grassroots level. But what happens when an athlete grows, sir? At this age of adolescence, or at this age of adult age group, the impact of peer age group is much more than the impact of this coach training, even the parents. So that is why when the decision making ability, or when this ethical practices, or are impaired when they go to state level or when they go to national level. The reason, to my belief, to my understanding, the reason is, sir, the competition is so high now. The competition for achieving a medal, or the competition for achieving a glory is so high that the students or the athletes get carried away, and they understand that achieving the sports performance in any means is the ultimate thing in life. So that is the reason why they are not able to decide between right and wrong. So whatever the in whichever way the peer group or the friends circle guide them, they go in the same way. So that is the time, actually, sir, I will suggest they need a proper guidance. They need a proper um, counseling, rather, by the coaches and trainers, so that they can be guided towards a positive ethical.
Thank you, sir. Question is from Vijay Singh. He asks, what is psychology first aid and how can we use these things in sports? Psychology first aid is asking. If it is relevant,
I'm not getting it, sir. Can you tell again?
he asks that what is psychology first aid?
Psychology first aid.
First aid. This is the question. If it is relevant, you can. Otherwise, we'll go for the next questions.
No, sir. I mean, maybe a person from first aid will be able to answer better.
Okay, okay, sir. So we'll go for the next question from Imran Mohammed. He asks how a day's assertive behavior turning into an holistic aggression by following rules of the games. How to control these things? Can I repeat this one?
Yeah. No, sir. I got it. See, the question is basically like, how can we prevent the assertiveness being converted into aggressive behavior, right? Okay. So,
Yes.
see, sir, assertiveness. There are many psychological techniques. There are different psychological skill training, actually, which you can, which you can use. You can teach your athlete and use on your athlete, so that the aggressive behavior can be controlled. Okay. But sir, when it is assertive behavior, the assertiveness is always comes with like, you have to give them regular training. You have to make them realize that what are the harmful effects of aggressive behavior. I'll tell you, sir, that when an individual becomes aggressive, the decision making ability changes. The decision making ability is impaired. That means, if you remember the final match between the Italy and France in World Cup, wherein this Zinedine Zidane was irritated to such a limit that he was one of the best player the world has ever seen. But just see, he was irritated, or he was troubled mentally or psychologically so badly that ultimately he had to headbutt. But then what happened? Because of that wrong decision, that wrong only one decision, that France lost the match and Italy won. Okay, so this, you have to teach your athlete that what is the harmful effect of the being aggressive, what are the deteriorating or negative impacts of aggressive behavior, and you have to make him understand and realize that when an individual is aggressive, or when an individual is so much angry, then the decision making ability or the logical thinking ability is impaired, and whatever decision we take, we never know whether it is going to be a right decision or whether it is going to be a wrong decision. Yes, how can you prevent from this behavior going towards aggressive behavior? We can have a discussion on it. You can have my mail ID. You can just mail it to me. Then we'll have a discussion on it, because there are few exercises that your athlete needs to practice.
Thank you, sir. Question is from Mukesh. He asks, can we have a positive results by having an anxiety?
That's what I told you. There are two things: anxiety and arousal. See, anxiety, it is by all means, what you have to do is, when the level of arousal is increasing, when there are different theories. The inverted U hypothesis theory says that when your level of arousal increases, your performance will also increase. When it is at optimum, your performance will be best. And when it goes beyond optimum, your level of performance will go down. That is one theory. But the second theory, the most latest theory, says that the level of performance varies from individual to individual with the variation in the level of arousal. So suppose for an example, your athlete A is having low level of arousal. He can give his best performance. He may give his best performance at a low level of arousal. But when the same athlete's level of arousal go to optimum, he will collapse. But the next athlete, the athlete B, may give his best performance in high level of arousal. That means when that athlete is having low level of arousal, low level of excitement, or optimum level of excitement, again his performance will go down. So as a coach or trainer, you have to understand, you have to observe rather in which kind of situation your athlete is able to give the best performance. So on the basis of that, you take a call, and whatever you need, whether you want to whether you want to use some kind of psyching up strategies, yes, you are welcome. You can go for it. If you need to go use some kind of relaxation or anxiety reduction techniques, you also can go for it. So it always depends on the how your athlete is reacting different level of sports, different level of arousal. Sir, you have muted.
From Swami, sir, question is that becoming aggressive before the match by a coach on players, is it right or wrong?
No, sir. Sir, what is the name you said?
Becoming aggressive before the match.
Okay.
On this place.
Okay. Let it be before the match. Let it be after the match. Let it be in at any time. So this becoming aggressive should be avoided. Okay. Because I'll give you another example. During the match, you remember the match between Mike Tyson and this, wherein he bit off the ear of the opponent, and for which he was banned. He was banned for quite a long time. So when you are angry before the match, and as a coach, you should not do that. Don't promote the angerness or aggressiveness among your athlete. Don't do that. You can always have an assertive behavior wherein you can develop this. Assertiveness has a lot of good impact. I'll tell you. The first impact is it will definitely create a healthy team environment. Okay. And the belongingness to the team also will be very strong. And also when they are assertive, when they are controlled by assertive behavior, they have a very good fitness. They have learned their skills and techniques to the mastery level. They have a very good knowledge towards the rules and regulations. So as a coach, you don't promote the aggressiveness amongst your player. Don't ever do that, because that will spoil your athlete. So after some time, that athlete who was one of your best athlete one day, that athlete after some time, you will have to hire a psychologist for counseling and dealing with the anger and aggression of that athlete.
Thank you, sir. At last, I request you to give any suggestions for the participants. Your opinions,
Okay.
or suggestions.
I'm privileged because I'm not that great enough, to give any suggestions or advice, because there may be so many participants who will be much elder than me. So, I can just share my opinion. What I can say is, see, with every sessions that we attend here, in any platform we attend, we learn so many things. But until and unless we go down to the ground, we practically, apply them, we implement them, see what is the ultimate thing. Why are we learning all these things? The ultimate objective is our athlete or our students should be benefited, and ultimately that should contribute to the objective of national education policy, national sports policy. We have so many policies. So only one thing that I would like to request to all the people, all the participants attending here is, whatever we are learning, let us go down to the ground. Let us go to our students. Let us be available to our students. Let's work for them. Let us make them. Let us motivate them so that they come out and play. They become the participant. They become a participant of creating a better India, creating a healthy India, and ultimately contributing towards the nation building process. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Your presentation, really, it is a wonderful and informative.
Oh,
The
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
opinion suggestions really it is a solid one and very crystal clear it is. I hope all
Thank
our
you so much,
participants
sir.
follow this type of psychological things. Physically, many things happens, but the mind, what happens in the mind, it is very difficult to understand. But because of your views, because of your suggestions, I hope most of things were clear about many points like motivational process, types of motivation, techniques of motivation, how to motivate the students, then types of goals and principles of goal settings, then ethics, many more things you have explained. Definitely, this is a helpful thing, a helpful information for our participants. Definitely, I hope all they will carry this one. They will implement that in their life to enhance the performance of their students. With this, sir, I like to conclude, sir, on behalf of Ministry Youth Affairs and Sports, Hello India, Sai LNCP, and on behalf of our respected principal, sir, Dr. G. Kishore, sir, I thank you for your valuable presence and valuable suggestions for this session on this topic. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir. बहुत अच्छा था, sir. Nice. Participants, one more information is there for you. Today evening 5 o'clock, international speaker Dr. Tande Jane Hogyo, course director, sports coaching, School of Sports, will be a resource person on topic what is a higher performance coach or teachers. So I request all the participants be there, gain a knowledge from an international speaker. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. We are going to leave this, sir.